Hey guys, this is James with Level One doing the audio blog deal, I guess you could call it, whatever you want to call it. Just answering some questions you guys sent in. Pick some of the most popular subjects to kind of go over. Like I said before, I get emails all the time. Guys want to know certain things, or meet guys out and about, and have questions about how certain things work or what have you. So I thought, hey, I'll kind of jam together a few good subjects to talk about and kind of go over in sort of an audio format. So we'll kind of dive right into that, and just to kind of warn you a little bit, it's kind of late while I'm doing this here, so it's been kind of a long day. So I kind of ramble on a little bit. I apologize. It's just the way it is. Also, I'm a racer just like most of you guys, so the probability for colorful language is very high. So anyway, also, I don't know everything. Don't claim to know everything. And if you ask in racing, I'm sure you're aware. If you ask 10 different people a question, you'll probably get 10 different answers. But I'll answer as best as I can, and the way I see it, or my opinion on the subject, or what have you. I'm not going to really go into. I've been around the sport for a long time. Been in this NASCAR stuff for several years now. I'm going to spout off my resume. I know a guy that walks around spouting off his resume every 5 minutes. He's kind of a jerk. So I'm not going to do that. But anyway, we'll kind of get right into the subjects that we're going to go over. Getting a job in racing, that seems to be towards the top of the list. Guys want to know how to go about that. So we'll talk about that a little bit. Starting parks, everybody seems to have an opinion on that. That seems to be a hot topic nowadays. Sponsorship and marketing, we'll talk a little bit about that. Hand in hand with that will be, some of the economics of racing. Maybe getting some chassis setup stuff, and then outdoor. Everybody's wanting to talk about outdoor right now. It's a pretty hot subject, so I'll kind of give my thoughts on that and offer some insight into that, perhaps. So I'm going to try to keep this brief here. If I'm going to break this down to a couple of different segments, I want to try to keep this somewhere around 10 minutes or so, so that you can you don't sit all night and listen to me ramble on. So we may have to break this up into a couple of different segments. So anyway, we'll kind of jump right into it. Getting a job in racing. A lot of times I get emails from guys that live in other parts of the country, Midwest, the southern United States, Southwest, West Coast, what have you. For those guys, and for anybody for that matter, number one thing is you got to be here in the Charlotte, North Carolina, Mooresville, North Carolina area. There's just too many quality guys that are here now that have cup level experience, cup level talent, that are walking the streets looking for jobs every day. So if you just send if you live in Southern California or something, that's nobody's going to hire you from there. So number one thing, get here, start pounding the pavement, that sort of thing. And here's the deal on that. Going to shops, handing out resumes. I know very few guys that have actually gotten jobs doing that, but that's one of the things you have to do. That's just the way it is. Most of the time, it comes down to knowing someone got your name, get your foot in the door for you. That's where being here, networking, meeting as many people as you can, that sort of thing. Because teams very rarely want, and here's the thing, NASCAR teams very rarely want to hire someone that hasn't actually worked in NASCAR, because even though racing in NASCAR looks very similar to typical Saturday night short track racing, it's actually really different. It's its own crazy little kooky world, and there's there's not a lot of guys that are really truly prepared when they step into this deal. As a matter of fact, it's why a lot of teams don't bring on interns anymore, really, unless one of the schools is paying them to use an intern. We just kind of give you an idea. In 2012, we personally went through 6, I think, interns. I don't know what these guys think when they show up at the shop. I don't know if they think there's going to be, speed reporters and big booby blondes standing around or whatever. But it is a real job. It's real work, and it's hard work. I think a lot of guys just aren't really prepared for that. And another thing too is you kind of have to get out of the hobby mentality. Even though there's a lot of Saturday night guys that take their racing very seriously, at the end of the day, you're still going to get up the following Monday morning and go to a job and make money that way. But when your hobby is your living, then you have to approach it in a completely different way. That's one thing to look at. One piece of advice I could give you would be is that if you can get yourself a NASCAR license, you have to have a NASCAR license to even be able to touch a vehicle at the racetrack. So if you can go through a team and get yourself a license, it's expensive, but if you can get to the track, get inside, and be there when they need someone, or be at the shop when they need someone. If you're standing there at their shop, when 2 guys just quit that morning, that's a really good way to get in the door. You kind of got them with, when they're in a bind. Being at the track when they're short-handed, also you kind of got them in a bind. It's a really good way to get your foot in the door. And here's the thing, also, you're not going to make a whole lot of money in the beginning. I'll go ahead and tell you that right now. In fact, the first couple of years that I did this, I spent more money going to races and trying to get my foot in the door than I was making when teams would pay me. So it's going to take you a little while to actually get in there and start making some money and stuff, but it's tough. It is. That's just kind of the way it is. So, perseverance, like everything else, you just got to stick with it. The guys that stick with it are the ones that make it. And the guys that give up after just a little bit of time are the ones that don't. So that's kind of how that goes. Talk a little bit about starting parts, I guess. Everybody has an opinion one way or the other. And here's the deal. Yes, this is a sport like football, baseball, basketball, what have you. But it's also a business. And it has to make business sense. Like, in football, it doesn't cost you to play every quarter. If that was the case, some teams might have to play 2 quarters and go home. But number one, before we really even get into it, let me kind of just go ahead and tell you that some of the big numbers that you hear about, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 for starting a racing cup, that's cup level. And the truck series, it is quite a bit less. I think the average start money is somewhere around, $7,500, probably something like that is the average start money. And that's nothing. Nationwide is not a whole lot more. It's probably, I don't know, maybe 40% more, something like that. And the cup is the big money. So what I'm going to talk about is kind of from a truck perspective, because that's what I know the most of. So like I said, it is a business, and obviously we're out there and we all want to run as competitively as we can, and we all want to run as good as we can. But at the end of the day, it is a business, and bills have to get paid, and employees have to get paid, and that's just the reality of it. So just to kind of give you an idea of some of the costs involved with it, entry fee for a truck race is $1,250. One set of tires is right at $2,000. And in most short tracks, you're required to buy at least 2 sets of tires. So the typical short track race, you're $5,250 into it, and nothing but entry fee and tires. soon as you get there for $7,500 to start. And the cost of running the whole race versus doing a starting part, you have to have more people there. You have to lease a pit crew. That can run anywhere between $500 to $1,500 depending. And if it's a standalone race to where we're there by ourselves, then we have to cover the lease pit crew guys, all their expenses and that sort of thing. So it can actually jump up to $2,000-3,000 very, very quickly just to have guys ready to do pit stops. Licenses for everybody. Programmer license is $750 plus a $50 drug test. So you got to make sure you have enough guys there and everybody's license and all that stuff's covered. Laps on an engine, just to kind of give you an idea about that. For every lap we put on an engine, it costs roughly, this is just a rough estimate off of our numbers, about $33.41 per lap. So for every lap you run in that race, it's just on the engine, it's roughly $33.41. And that doesn't sound like a lot, but in a typical 200 lap race, it's right at $6,700, $6,681, something like that. So you're pushing $7,000 the cost of running your engine the full race versus running a handful of laps. Now there again, everybody wants to compete and everybody wants to run as well as they can, and we all want to run the whole race and we all want to compete for the wins. But like I said, at the end of the day, it is a business and the numbers have to chime out. I guess that's what I'm trying to say is the numbers have to work out. And that's just the reality of it. Typical costs on an engine for 1 year, purchase, rebuilds, the whole nine, is about $147,000. Typical engine lease for a year is about $264,000, and that's not like ultra set on kill, Hendrick Motorsports stuff. That's just really good, solid engines. There again, just to kind of give you an idea of some of the costs and why you would do a starting part versus, as far as Truck Series goes, why you would do a starting part versus running the whole race. Like I said, the numbers just have to work out. And it's gone away this year, but in prior years also, they had the top 20 or 25 trucks, 25 I think it was, were locked into the field every week, every race. But a little known footnote to that rule is to be eligible for that locked-in status, even if you were in the top 25 in points, you had to at least attempt every race. You had to go to every race. So that's another reason why a lot of teams would just show up, do the bare minimum, if they didn't have funding or sponsorship for that particular weekend, show up, do the bare minimum, do what they had to do, get in, get out, then move on to the next one. Just to keep their locked-in status. Now, like I said, everything there, and at the end of the day, I mean, if the 3 or 4 trucks that drop out early, if they were to run the whole race, I mean, it really wouldn't matter. They're not going to contend for the win or anything like that anyways. So, that's just the way it is. Now, kind of switching gears a little bit, NASCAR kind of has a way of making teams spend their money, for lack of a better way to put it, through rule changes and things like that. NASCAR kind of wants to make sure that the entire sport, and that's the sanctioning bodies, the race teams, the tracks, the supporting industry, which is the parts suppliers, the vendors, that sort of thing. NASCAR kind of wants to make sure that the money is circulating around, excuse me, between everyone. So they're going to kind of, if you start to get too much money stockpiled in their mind, they're going to make you spend it through rule changes and that sort of thing. And then you know what? I mean, at the end of the day, it usually takes care of itself anyway. Because right now, if only the teams that could afford to run competitively showed up at the track, You'd have about 3/4 fields. About a quarter of the field wouldn't even be there. Most cup races nowadays have 40, 44, 5, 6 cars show up. But when the economy kind of starts to come back around and more cars and trucks show up for these races, the weaker teams that are kind of coming in now and running doing something like that, it's going to weed them out anyway. So I think people make a big deal out of it when it's really not a big deal. It's just guys trying to keep their business afloat, trying to stay a part of the sport, and yeah, it can be abused, but most guys are actually trying to. But most guys are trying to grow their program through these strategies and that sort of thing. So that's just kind of how that works. We're about 16 minutes into this. I'll tell you what, I'm going to touch briefly on Eldora, and maybe I'll talk about this some more in another one of these if the feedback's positive and I do another one. Everybody's talking about Eldora, how big it's going to be. I personally don't think the field's going to be quite as large. Oh, well, not the field. There's only 30 strokes, but I think the amount of trucks to show up isn't going to be quite what everybody thinks it is. I personally think it's going to be about 40, 45, 36 trucks, something like that. It's really a neat deal. I mean, I like it. I think it's creating a lot of buzz. It's something different. It's something exciting. I personally don't have I personally like the idea. But there again, right now there's a lot of talk about, a lot of guys are saying they're going to get trucks together and this sort of thing. But I think a lot of these guys just don't realize the upfront costs involved with even going to one NASCAR Truck Series race. So I think by the time the dust settles, I personally think there'll be 45, 46 trucks or something like that. And then who's going to run well? I don't know. I think personally, I think it's going to be kind of like the road course deals, where you have the road course ringers come in and they run well, and they run typically up front, top 5, top 10. But usually it's a NASCAR regular that wins those races. And personally, I think that's how the dirt race is going to go down. I think the premier dirt guys that are in the race, the strictly dirt guys or the mainly dirt guys, I think they are going to perform very, very well. I think they're going to have a good showing. But I mean, these trucks are so completely different than anything else that's running on dirt right now. They're 112 inches wheelbase, 3,400 pounds, real high center of gravity. Dinosaur suspension by modern dirt standards. So there again, I personally think that the dirt guys are going to have really good showings, and we're taking a dirt guy. I don't want to get too much into that, but we're taking a sprint car kid. But personally, I think it's probably going to be a Truck Series regular that wins it. But with all the talk with heat races and how they're going to do all that, then I mean it really is up in the air. But like I said, I think it's going to be a full time. There again, I think it's good for the sport. It's creating a ton of interest, a ton of buzz. I think it's going to potentially bring in some new sponsors that maybe haven't been involved in the sport before, and definitely some new faces, some new drivers that haven't been involved in the sport before. So all in all, I think it's a very, very, very positive deal that they put together. And I'm ready for it. I'm ready to go. I wish it was coming up soon. And on that note, I'm going to have to kind of stop it there for questions. I actually have a whole nother page of stuff that you guys have seen, but we're like 20 minutes, running a little longer. But one really quick thing I will talk about. I had a lot of questions about what our plans are for the year. We are definitely 100% not going to Daytona. I plan to be down there. We're not taking a truck. The plan as of right now is to be at Martinsville in April and Rockingham after that, and then as many races as we can between there and Eldora, and being at Eldora, and then as many as we possibly can finishing out the year. Definitely, we're kind of concentrating a little more heavily on the short track stuff because of the way our program's set up with the development drivers, and that's the only tracks they'll be approved for. But there are some mile and a half on the schedule that I would really like to tackle. Texas is one of those. I really like that race, and Charlotte is another one. Obviously, it's kind of right in our backyard, and a couple others. We'll just have to see how marketing and funding all that works out. But as of right now, that's our plan. Hopefully, I can make some announcements here really soon. On exactly what we're going to be doing, and then it's kind of like they say, when I know, you'll know. One of those things. Anyway, I'm going to stop it there. Hope you guys liked a little bit of insight that I kind of gave you there. There again, all this is my opinion, how I see it. So there you go. Like I said, we'll probably end up doing a second part of this deal, just because there were several other hot topics there that we just didn't get to. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you next time.